The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think
He missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Welcome to the Champion Motorsports GT Sprint Series. 2 rounds have been completed so far. Umberto Roca has shown he is a formidable competitor, unbeaten in the pro class so far, with Dujon Boldron the next best. In the amateur class, Robert Tarbox and Tim Collier have shown their wares. Well, round 3 travels to Quebec in Canada, where we will see the BMWs, the Fords, the McLarens and the Roofs challenge each other once again at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. The race will be coming to you live on the Global Sim Racing channel, and I am Richard Losper. With me in the booth today is Kevin Brown, and our director is Joe Peak, and of course we use the camera sets provided by Dougie Beard. Kevin, a very good day to you. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, not one of my favorites, but do tell the viewers a little bit about this track.
Good evening, Richard. Yeah, this is certainly a love it or hate it sort of track, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It's pretty much a street circuit. It's rarely used, and it's the main feature is that the walls are very, very close to the track. So this is a lot like the race we saw last weekend at Bathurst, where mistakes will punish you heavily. Some basic info, it's 2.7 miles or 4.4 kilometers, 14 turns. Most of them are chicanes, fast chicanes, we should say, fast corners, and a couple of very tight hairpins that you have to navigate. Brakes are very heavily used on this track. You have to be good at your brakes. You have to be good at your turn-in speed. And there is, of course, the infamous Wall of Champions, the wall sitting on the outside of the last corner on track, possibly the second most important corner of the track. And it's so named because in an F1 race there was, I think, 5 previous season champions in the race. Every single one of them hit the wall in that race, ended their race very quickly. Give you a sense of how difficult this track is, we have a lap guide that we're going to show you right now.
All right, Kevin Brown is behind the wheel of the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Down into turn 1, it's kind of a chicane, but it's got hairpin, so let's call it a haircane. Regardless, it's a very slow corner and a tricky passing spot despite the heavy braking. The inside puts you outside at the hairpin, and the outside runs the risk of getting chopped off when it switches. Now we head towards the 3-4 chicane. The exit wall just dares you to try getting on the power, but there's a fine line between looking brave and looking foolish. Flat out through 5, but it's blind, so keep your head up for accidents. Then we immediately brake for 6. Keep it tight to the left so you can really get on the power early through 7. If your car likes to push, you'll be at a huge disadvantage here because the wall on the outside is waiting for any understeering cars to paint it new colors. Now it's a gentle curve down to the 8-9 chicane. As always, set yourself up for the exit, but here it's really important. The run to the casino hairpin is not the place where you want someone to have an opportunity to get a nose in. Literally every other braking zone is a chicane, so everyone will be hungry for a straightforward pass. If they do get a run, your best hope is a switchback. Get your car slowed, get it to rotate, put the power down, and hope you can out-drag your rival. Thankfully, the draft will be there to help you along if you need it down this long straightaway. But once again, it'll be better to be fully past someone than fighting side by side, because now we'll be coming up on the infamous Wall of Champions. Take it easy on the big inside curves because an unsettled car is more likely to meet concrete. It's all a game of how much speed do I carry through here. For your ego's sake, treat it with respect. But as long as you survived, you've now finished a lap around Montreal.
Welcome back to Montreal and Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Now, Kevin, just before we talk about the championship, 2 rounds, of course, completed so far, we should mention, and we'll talk a bit more about this later on, that iRacing has just given us a brand new build, and these guys are probably they're certainly the first broadcast we're doing, or the second broadcast we're doing with that new build. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's get to the championship. So in the Pro Cup standings, Umberto Roca has won both races so far, and that was at Motegi and Laguna Seca, and he leads this championship with Dujon Baldwin in second place, 8 points back. Paul Darling, 12 points back from him in third place. Arthur Hamon in fourth place, 17 points back, and Jason Lundy, 22 points back in fifth place. Kevin?
Thank you, Richard. And in the Pro-Am Cup standings, and the Pro-Am is defined by the series admins as drivers who have under a 1600 I rating or other reasons for which they should be qualified in the slower class. But being led by Tim Collier, sitting on 40 points. Robert Tarbox Jr., 2 points further behind. James Hume, another 9 points behind. Eduardo Tomedi, 2 points further behind. And David Anderson in fifth with 1 point behind Eduardo, Richard.
That is correct. And let's go now to the team standings. And 8or80 Red currently leads the sprint series. They are followed by Magno Autosport Delta, 9 points back. Then Magno Autosports, another car in the same group, 11 points back in third place. Puffin Racing Pro is in fourth place, 14 points back from the leader. Just 3 points back from third place. And the fifth place is also 8or80, the orange team. So 2 8or80 cars, 2 Magno Autosports, and Puffin Racing in the middle of all of that in the top 5. Kevin?
Yeah, well done for all these guys. A little bit of movement after the last race. Laguna Seca was tough on these guys and kind of shook things up a little bit. And I think we're going to have another tough one tonight, Richard, with all the changes that have been introduced into iRacing, with the dynamic track and with the balance of power changes that have been made to these GT3 cars. These cars all handle differently today than they did yesterday. And that combined with the dynamic track and with a very tough track in general should make for an exciting race tonight.
Well, that is correct. Now, just a little bit more on the dynamic track. What that actually means is that the track will react to what the cars are doing. So rubber will go down. There will be marbles on the outside, as you would see in real life on any racetrack, with cars going around at incredible speeds. They will shred parts of the tires, and that will be labeled as marbles, normally accumulating towards the edge of the track. The track temperature, Kevin, as well, will change dynamically as these cars use the track.
Right, and so one of the things that's going to happen is this is going to make passing very difficult to do, or more difficult, I should say, and that's hampered by the fact that already this is kind of a difficult track to pass on. There's really only kind of about 2 good places to do it, going into the hairpin and the last chicane. Well, I guess I should say 3, and turn 1 as well. But all 3 of those places are really easy to defend if you're the lead car, and whichever car is the trailing car, or whichever car goes offline into those marbles, and the colder track may have a much more difficult time passing. We may see some unfortunate contact as drivers start trying to find that limit. I don't think that they've had enough time to do that yet, really explore the track boundaries on a rubbered-in track.
Quite correct, Kevin. I was thinking about that, and it occurred to me that attempting a pass on the outside through the marbles would be extremely dangerous. And of course, these guys have not tried anything like that yet. They wouldn't have had the time to try anything like that. So it's going to make for some really interesting racing. And you viewers are right here with GSRC, and we're having a look for the very first time at a race with some seriously fast cars going around a very tight track and seeing what happens in the new build. So I would watch this race very, very closely. Other than that, of course, the fuel is limited to 65%. This is the sprint series, so there will be at least 1 pit stop required. They also do have 1 fast repair, so at least if they damage their car beyond repair, they can go back into the pits or take a tow. and get a fresh car. And of course, as usual, the starts are rolling, so there'll be a pace lap before the race starts. Now, let's talk about the orange zone, Kevin. I note that it's a long orange zone tonight.
Yes, it is. So let's again touch on what the orange zone is. The orange zone is an area on the track during the first lap, and it should be regarded as a pass with extreme caution area during the first lap of the race. And should an incident occur because a driver chooses to attempt a pass within that zone, the driver initiating the pass will likely be held responsible. And the admins do take a dim view on contact occurring in the orange zone. And it lasts all the way through turn 7, excuse my high-pitched voice there, all the way through turn 7, which is about the third chicane, if you will, on track. So quite a long ways in. And we should kind of point out that turns 1 and 2, the very tight left-hander and the very tight right-hander, are infamous for creating all kinds of crazy stack-ups and incidents on the first lap. So it's going to be interesting to see if the orange policy helps these drivers navigate that first complex cleanly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, the qualifying is up to about 22 minutes elapsed, so there's only a few minutes left of qualifying. But if we just have a look, I see that Umberto has just put in the fastest lap. He was, before this, he was actually in second place with Leandro Schmidt. Kevin being very fast and having the provisional pole up to a few seconds ago. Dujan Baldwin's up there. Eduardo Tomedi. Now this driver is very interesting to me. Didn't see him in the last series, but he has shown a good turn of speed.
He has, and we should point out that we've touched on the new build, and it was released only about 8 hours ago, almost on the dot, I think. So these drivers haven't had a lot of chance to really play with things, and the changes have been made to each of these GT3 cars, to the BMW, the Ford, the McLaren, and the Roof. And let's talk about that now. I'll mention that out. So the BMW Z4 now has 20 kilograms less weight, so it's quite a bit lighter, and it's had some changes made to the differential. So the BMW is going to be able to corner quite a bit better than it used to, which is really going to help out, and it's going to be able to brake a little bit better as well and accelerate a little bit better. The Ford GT has been slowed down. It's got more weight, 23 kilograms more weight. It's got less downforce. They're saying 1.25% less downforce, and it's got less torque as well, less high-end torque. So this is a car that's been slowed down quite a bit, and should actually kind of affect it a little bit here at Montreal. I don't think it is affected as much. As for the McLaren, it's got 10 kilograms more weight, not as much weight as the Ford, and they've done something to improve the yaw stability with the aerodynamics, which is to say that the car used to get loose in high-speed corners, very high-speed corners like Blanchimont at Spa. The car would actually kind of snap out from underneath you. So the McLaren was already struggling here at Montreal. The balance of power changes are really going to affect it here today. I don't think we're going to see any McLarens up at the front. And the Roof has gotten more downforce, 2.5% more downforce. So I think the Roof is really going to be the car to beat here tonight, because it's really going to be able to slow down quickly and carry that speed into the corners better than pretty much anything else out there tonight.
Interesting changes. I had no idea. I haven't read the details on changes to these GT3 cars. But certainly from what you described there, it looks like the Roof has been given, some advantage, I think, over the others. And the poor old GT is the one that suffers here. So it remains to be seen what 8 or 80 who all drive in the GTs are going to do. I do note that the qualifying has officially finished. The flag is out, although we still see cars out on track finishing up on hot laps. So we'll get to the actual grid in a minute or so. But just quickly, driver penalties and warnings, there are none at this point in time. And what Kevin said about the cars is going to really be interesting to see how that plays out on this very tight track, Kevin. This is not an open track. There's about one... Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's only one real long straight there that these guys have to play with.
Yeah, exactly. the back straight is really the longest straight, and it's pretty long as well. The pit straight from the Wall of Champions into turn 1, if you set up through the final chicane well, you can make a move into turn 1, and sometimes that's probably your best bet to really make a move. Otherwise, the other places you can kind of defend pretty easily that I kind of mentioned. Turn 1, turn 2, since it's a left and then immediately a right, if you set yourself up well, you might be able to do it. But yeah, this is a difficult track to pass on. And as you said, there's really only the one straight to really capitalize on the top end speed of these cars. You really have to be good at carrying your speed into the braking zones. And it's going to be interesting to see the lap traffic, how the leaders are able to cope with the lap traffic and this dynamic track, how they're able to deal going offline. Because again, this isn't something we've seen before.
Correct. Just quickly as well, the pit exit is particularly... it's awkward. The cars coming out of the pits are dumped straight into turn 1, and we could see some stuff happening there as well. So we'll look at that. Well, qualifying must definitely be over right now. I don't see any cars. Any cars that are still on track must be on a cool down lap. So let's go ahead and read out the grid. Starting with position number 1, of course, Umberto Roca once again on the pole position. Second place, Leandro Schmid. Third place, Dujon Boldron. And fourth place, Mikel El Crudo. Fifth place is Georgios Manusakis. And fifth place, Ricardo Mendez. Sorry, that was sixth place. So that's the top 6. Go ahead, Kevin.
In 7th is Eduardo Tomedi. He gets the pole position for the Pro-Am class. 8th, Arthur Hermont. 9th, Jarrett Lawson. 10th, Paul Darling. 11th, Douglas Beard. And 12th, Tim Collier, Richard.
And in 13th place, Drew Lidke. 14th place, Tom Rache. 15th, Daniel Rice. 16th place, Jason Lundy. 17th place is Robert Tarbox. Now, Robert Tarbox is 3rd in class. So Robert Tarbox Jr. in 17th place, and bringing up 18th place is Jay Friels.
And 19th is Cleaver Gomes. 20th, James Hume. 21st, Peter Hebron. 22nd, Mike Reuter. 23rd, Kyle Herron. 24th, Anthony James, and I'll just go ahead and roll them out. 25th is Troy Fagan. Victor Tanaka, 26th. Jake Darger is the final run person to qualify in 27th. And you might notice 3 names at the end: Richard Losberg, Kevin Brown, Joe Peak. And that is because of the new build. We had to enter as race registrants. So obviously we will not be racing out there today. We will be talking about it, but we will be shown on your timing and scoring screen. So just ignore the masked man, or excuse me, the men behind the curtain, I guess I should say, not the masked man.
Correct, sir. Now, interesting, Jay Dargett, I'm not seeing him on the track at this stage. All the cars should be on track now. I am seeing 26th place there. Have another look for Jay Dargett. No, he's not. Oh, there he is.
He just joined.
Yes, he's joined. All the cars are on track, 27 of them. They're all lined up. Now, this is not a full lap that they'll be doing before the start. So let's go up to the front, and I'll be driving at the start with Dujon Boldron as they take off behind the pace car right now, Kevin.
Yep, and remember, we're going to have to keep an eye on the middle of the field and the back, as I expect there to be a huge stack up going into turn 1 and turn 2. It's going to be difficult for these guys to stay clean for the first lap.
Remembering, of course, the orange zone extends out towards turn number 7, so that's a fair way into the track. So they'll be going through the first very difficult part of the course. They are currently right now on the last chicane just before the Wall of Fame. Is it Wall of Fame? Wall of Champions. And they're all lined up one behind the other. Where is the pace car? The green has just flown. The pace car is off, and Leandro Schmid has passed, but he's on the outside, and it looks to me as if Umberto Roca will try and get the position back in first. He does not make it. Remember, they're still part of the orange zone at this point in time. Dujon Baldwin still in 3rd place. Leandro Schmid now leads this race. I recall from a previous race that Leandro was particularly good at this race, Kevin, at this track, Kevin.
Yeah, we saw Leandro doing very well in a previous race in Montreal. Jason Lundy not had half a spin, but kept it on track, lost a couple positions. But everybody has stayed clean so far, Richard. Well done.
Yes, well done indeed. A new build, virtually a different car, or possibly a different car. Top three still as they were, excepting, of course, now they should be through turn number 6. No, they're not yet. They're not yet. It's the last straight after this chicane. They're coming through now. Now they head down into that huge hairpin, Kevin. Very, very awkward. You're basically up against the wall there trying to get your car to turn in there.
Yeah, and such an inviting place to make a dive bomb attempt under braking and try and get the person in front of you, and inevitably wind up out-braking yourself, and then you just aren't able to get on the power for that huge long back straight. Right now I'm watching Jarrett Lawson make a move on the inside of Eduardo Tomedi. This is for 9th place. Lawson has that roof on the inside, easily out-braking Tomedi into the last chicane, although Tomedi's showing his nose on the inside, but nope, Lawson pops over the curve and takes position away.
And I am very, very interested in how the Ford GTs will perform here. Currently, I am seeing that Dujon Baldwin, the leading Ford GT, still staying with the roof there of Umberto Roca, and of course another roof that is being driven by Leandro Schmidt. So at this stage, anyway, early days in the race, he's staying with them, Kevin. Now we see a bit of a look there, peek from Umberto Roca on Leandro, but he got it all wrong and he's actually lost some time due to that. And now they go down into another chicane here. There's so many chicanes on this course. Very, very tough track. Also some pretty high curbs, Kevin, that they've got to deal with.
Yep, high curves, and you're just flirting with those curves so much because you need to get so close to them, use all of the track, but if you touch them, it picks up the car pretty heavily on the inside wheels, bounces the car around, and slows you down overall. It's such a fine line to ride between being fast and being out of control here.
And especially as we see the cars go down now towards that last chicane before the Wall of Champions. This is a very, very fast entry speed into the chicane. It's very tight to see them go through the section there. The curbs throw you around both left and right. First right, then left, and you can see very, very easily why the guys went into the wall there and why it became called the Wall of Champions.
We're getting some news that Tom Ratchey and Douglas Beard had some contact trying to find that on screen. I guess we saw it on screen. And, oh, yeah, into the hairpin. Looks like Ratchey got into the back of Douglas Beard in that hairpin. Like I said, easy to kind of outbrake yourself. Slammed into the back of Beard, kind of half spun him around. But Dougie restarted, running the car. Just lost position to Ratchey. But I think these old foes will get back going again and keep the race going.
Yeah, they're both going, thankfully. Now, let's go up to Paul Darling. Paul Darling is in 8th place at the moment, following Arthur Hermom. So, I want to see how, we've got a little battle going on here. We want to see how the roof deals with dare we say, the slower Ford GT at this point in time. Currently, so tight around here, Kevin. Now he can take an opportunity to go to the inside. He's right on the back there of Arthur Hermom. He does go to this is now the outside for the hairpin. He brakes a little early, and look at Arthur Hermom. Late braking, they couldn't pull it up, Kevin.
Yeah, just completely outbraked himself. Nothing Arthur could do, and easily lets Paul Darling and Jarrett Lawson by, although that's not what he wanted for sure.
Yep, and up front once again. Now, let's go to Miguel Alcrudo. Miguel Alcrudo also following the Ford GT, this time Dujon Baldwin. So let's see how this little battle develops. Up ahead of them, of course, Leandro Schmidt leading. Umberto Roca not making an impression on Leandro Schmidt at this stage. So here comes Miguel Alcrudo onto Dujon Baldwin. He's not quite close enough to have a look at this point in time through turns 3 and 4. And this is also so dangerous with all those walls there, Kevin. This is pretty much I would guess, the street part of the circuit.
Oh, looks like we had some argy-bargy between Douglas Beard and Tim Collier. Beard got into the back of Collier, into the final chicane, spun Collier around, and poor Tim Collier was caught right in the middle of the chicane while half the field drove around him looking the wrong way, and there was nothing he could do, because if he pulled forward, he was going to collect somebody, and poor Tim Collier is now in last. No, he's not. Jason Lundy suddenly got into last place while I was watching that replay.
Oh, well, that is not good news for Tim Collier. Tim Collier, of course, leading the amateur championship at this point in time after 2 races. So being put all the way back there is not good for him. Jason Lundy is the only car just behind him. So let us go back now to the battle I was talking about with Miguel El Crudo on Duljam Baldwin. And looks like it's not close enough. Now they come to the final chicane here. Dujan handles that car beautifully, Kevin. No doubt about it.
Yeah, he really does. He's been very comfortable in that Ford GT. Clearly, he's gotten to a point where it works for him well. So even though it's been handicapped a little bit with this new change in the balance of power, balance of performance, he's doing pretty well all right. To update you on Jason Lundy, he got some oversteer, got loose coming out of turn 4, smacked the wall really hard, limped around back into pit lane, and he's been parked there for a while, so he hasn't apparently got his fast reset, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's just going to park it for the rest of the day. He had qualified really poorly, even by his standards of not qualifying very well, so I'm not sure what's going on behind the wheel of the number 104.
All right, yes, a little bit of a problem there for Jason. He's far back at the moment. In fact, he's in the pits, currently sitting in last place. Let's go now to Robert Tarbox Jr. You will notice straight away that he has got some damage on the rear of his car, so he was involved in some sort of drama. But he is part of a little 4-car train here, Kevin. Towards the rear of the field, they include Mike Ruder, Anthony James, and James Hume. The reason we're driving up with Robert Tarbox is because he is up near the pointy end of this championship, so we would like to see what he can do to move himself forward.
And Tarbox got smacked by Jason Lundy in the final chicane on lap 1. That's where his damage came from. Jason also got some damage on the front of his car, but yeah, poor Jason Lundy, obviously not the start of the day that he would want.
Yeah, definitely not. Now have a look in front there of Tarbox. We've got Ruder, but in front of him, Anthony James trying to move into the hairpin there on James Hume. Didn't make it work, but he looked pretty threatening. Now they go down the long straightaway.
Oh, sorry. No, they saved it. Drew Lidkey and Douglas Beard side by side into the final chicane. They touched Lidkey, half spun around. I thought for sure he was going into the wall. Both of them managed to keep from wrecking their cars, but the net result is they don't change positions with each other, but they lose several spots. Now Dougie Beard pulling off on the outside of turn 1. Looks like actually, yeah, he's got too much damage, and he gets the tow, and he's going to get a new car. Jason Lundy looks like he got disconnected out of the server.
Ouch, that's what you don't want to have happen. Just to clarify, we are so dependent on our internet connections in sim racing that if anything happens there, there's nothing you can do. You are perhaps thrown out of the server, and that's it for you. You then have to reconnect and make do with whatever position you come back into the race in. But I'm still driving here with Anthony James, who's been trying to get on terms here with James Hume in the BMW. Anthony James, of course, in a McLaren now. He closes up into the first part of the course here through the first chicane and heading down that left-hand sweeper. Now they come through. That's the hairpin they're going through now. And behind him, Mike Ruder wanting a part of the action. Good battle going on here between these three. And this is for 20th, 19th, and 18th place, Kevin.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I'm actually watching this battle up front, Leandro Schmidt and Humberto Roca. I say battle, they're just really, really close together, only about half a second apart. No actual fighting for the position so far. Both looking pretty good right now, but each kind of making small little bobbles here and there. Leandro Schmidt making a little bit of a bobble right there into turn 4. this is not an easy track, and these guys are definitely pushing these cars right now, I think, and I'm impressed that they're managing to keep the car off the walls, because it looks to me like they are really pushing hard.
Well, yes, I take my hat off to them. Honestly, if it were me, I would have backed out of a race that involved getting a brand new build just hours previously. But back to the battle here for that 20th to 17th place. James Hume still leading this little pack. Robert Tarbox Jr. now looking a little threatening there on Mike Ruder. Can't get anything done. It is so difficult to pass here, Kevin, that they basically just, they're right there, but it's a
Here we go up front. Nope,
driver.
Sorry, Richard, to interrupt you there. Humberto Rocca looked on the inside of Leandro Schmidt on the back straight, but then ducked back in line as soon as I finished mentioning it. So no, that was just kind of showing his nose, trying to show himself in the mirrors of Leandro Schmidt, reminding Schmidt that, hey, I'm here and I'm going to make a move sooner or later.
Yeah, and look, don't be surprised if he does. Now, Tarbox coming out of the hairpin, tries to get the power down quicker than Mike Ruder. Can't do it, Kevin. It's so difficult. And now they go down the long straightaway. This, you would imagine, is a good opportunity at the end of this straight to try and do an overtaking maneuver. But you've got that horrible chicane, which also can give you a pretty nasty slowdown. I believe it can cost you up to 5 seconds if you cross over the curbs.
Yeah, that final chicane, yeah, exactly. If you miss it, the penalty for missing it is pretty steep. So you really have to be careful about making sure you don't overrun it and you don't want to hit the curbs. But Humberto Rocca is starting to look very close on the inside of Leandro Schmidt going to the hairpin. Leandro moved over onto the racing line at the last moment, and then Humberto Rocca very early on breaks into the hairpin, declining the chance to make a pass move attempt this early in the race. Not sure if Humberto wants to make a move attempt or if he's waiting for pit strategy to come in or just kind of what his thinking is right now. Remember, we do have to stop. These cars only have about 40 minutes worth of fuel at the max in their tanks, so they will have to stop at some point. Again, Humberto Rocca showing his nose on the inside just at the beginning of the braking zone before ducking back onto the normal racing line.
Yes, and it's definitely showing that, look, Leandro, I am here. Make one mistake, my friend, and I'll have your position. But this is the battle of the roofs, and interesting to me, Kevin, is they have completely dropped off Dujon Baldwin from any kind of battle. He is way behind them now, at least 5 seconds. And I'm trying to have a look at Miguel El Crudo. He is still maintaining roughly the same position with respect to Dujon Baldwin. But let's go back to Humberto Rocca and Leandro Schmidt. Leandro very, very good out of turn 1 there, and now they go through this very, very fast sweeping. Some of it also blind, and all you can see is the walls, Kevin.
Yeah, so sorry, I was just watching. Anthony James made a great pass attempt maneuver over James Hume. That was for 17th and 18th position into the last chicane. And then Anthony pulled over to the side of the track, slowed down, and gave the position back. So he must have cut the course, but it sure didn't look like it to me. I'd really like to know the answer of what actually happened there, because Anthony made a great pass on a very difficult track and gave it right back.
Well, this is the battle that we were watching previously with Robert Tarbox Jr. tacked on to the end of that little group. But now, if you look at Anthony James, he is sort of the first one in that little group. Then James Hume behind him. Now, James Hume was leading this group before, so Anthony James has got that position from James Hume. Then
No. James Hume is in front of Anthony James. And then the two BMWs side by side. That's Robert Tarbox moving on the inside of Mike Ruder right there in the hairpin. Tarbox, well done, taking that position away with the over-under.
That's good. Yes, you're quite correct. I have to say, boo to iRacing. Their information on the screen is almost always out of date. So my apologies for getting that wrong. But nevertheless, this battle has been a really good one to watch, as you see Mike Ruder going all over the curb there. lucky not to get a slowdown penalty as well. So I'm thinking that he is struggling at the moment to keep up with the two guys in front of him. Robert Tarbox, who's looking a bit threatening here, he wants that position from Anthony James, and he's been, I guess, feeling the car out and seeing what he can and can't do with this new build, Kevin. But now he's definitely looking to try and take some positions.
And we did have another pass that we missed on screen. Jarrett Lawson sneaking past Paul Darling for 7th place a couple of laps ago. But Paul Darling still right on the bumper of Jarrett Lawson trying to catch up. So Jarrett Lawson has moved forward a couple places from where he started. A good run so far for him.
Yeah. Jarrett Lawson, well known to us in this series. He did very, very well last season. So he has moved up now. He is in 7th position. In front of him, Georgios Manusakis. I'm getting this one wrong. I'm struggling with this pronunciation. I'm assuming that is a Greek name there, Kevin.
Well, fortunately, he did tell us that we can use George for his first name, so that helps us out a little bit. But back to Jarrett Lawson, I do kind of want to mention that my teammate Steve Brown and I raced against Jarrett in the Blancpain Endurance Series in iRacing a couple of months ago here at Montreal. Jarrett was in his roof like he is today. Steve and I were in the McLaren, and we were actually running, he and I were running nose to tail for quite some laps, and Jarrett, let me tell you, he was very deep under the brakes. It was very difficult for me to defend against him. And then when I was running behind him for a while, it was very difficult for me to not get run over by him as well. So it was an interesting battle. I think we beat him in the end, but I can't remember now. But it was a lot of fun we had with Jarrett Lawson. He was very good that day, like I said, but very tough under braking, and I think that's serving him well tonight, Richard.
Yeah, Jarrett Lawson. I remember when he was racing in the Continental Series in a MX-5 no less, and he's improved a heck of a lot since he's come into the GT3 series, and looks like he's found his home. But I am looking at Miguel Alcrudo trying to get by Dujon Boldrin, and that is for 3rd place. He gets so close to Dujon. Watch now as they come into the braking area for the final turn. Well, this is not turn number 1, we should say, but this is the pit entry turn. Let's put it that way. But he just can't seem to get alongside Kevin so that he can battle for the position or try a pass. He gets right behind
Dujon
him.
into the wall.
Dujon touched the wall there, yeah, a little bit. But nothing too serious, I don't think.
No, but definitely slowed him down, allowed Miguel to catch up a little bit there as they're running out of turn 4. Man, Dujon's really good at getting the power on out of these corners. You know, that's kind of the great advantage of the Roos and the Porsches, that they can get on the power so early coming out of the corner. And but Dujon is really negating that effect by really getting on. And boy, hits the wall pretty hard again. If he's not careful, he's going to have damage on his right front. This is allowing Miguel Alcrudo to look in on the inside for the hairpin. They're very close. They almost touch. Alcrudo taking the lead into the hairpin, but no, Dujon Boldrin looking for the over or under. He's going to take it. He's Boldrin on the inside for the back straight. But look at that. Miguel Alcrudo very early back to power, very aggressive onto power, gets in front of Dujon. Well done. He's got that position handily, Richard.
Yeah, and he's been trying since the beginning of the race to get that. Now Dujon comes back at him. He's going to brake very late. He's going to the inside. He's going to try and pass. He can't get it done. Miguel Alcrudo maintains the position. He almost touched him, but great racing for both of them to keep it clean through that last chicane, which is a very tough corner.
Boy, I think Dujon at the last second just threw out an anchor out there, just desperately pleading and hoping that his car would slow down and not hit Miguel Alcrudo. Somehow he did manage to avoid that contact that I thought was for sure about to happen. He must have been screaming in the cockpit, just saying, no! But yeah, safely done. They bounce off the curbs a little bit and back to racing. But man, Miguel Alcrudo already a second to the good on Dujon. Looks like Miguel was definitely being held up by Dujon.
Yeah. Now, we are getting information. We've got the battle is on, and there's a touch between Humberto Roca and Leandro Schmid coming through the chicane, heading down towards the hairpin there. Umberto had to slow the car down a lot, so he dropped off a little bit. Umberto wants that first position, Kevin. He's been struggling to try and get it. He's just not good enough out of some. Well, not good enough, I should. That's perhaps the wrong word. He just doesn't have enough to get quickly out of the turns. He comes alongside going into the turns because he breaks what appears to be a little bit later than Leandro, but Leandro gets out of those turns. And of course, this is such a difficult track to pass on, so Leandro has maintained that first position, and I do think that if Umberto were in P1, the same would be happening. Leandro would not have a great opportunity for a pass, so I think the track is kind of defeating a lot of drivers here because they're unable to pass, Kevin.
Yeah, I really want to hear from Leandro and Humberto how the dynamic track was affecting them today, because I think that might be making a play here, just making it so much more difficult when getting offline.
And you know, one thing with the marbles, which I haven't seen any marbles yet, because these are tiny bits of rubber that are strewn all over the track, normally towards the outside edge of the track. But it will be very interesting. We'll have to talk to Dougie about getting us some camera shots that we can see all these marbles, Kevin.
Yeah, that'll be nice. And oh boy, Anthony James very close onto James Hume, under braking for the final chicane. So this battle is back on between Hume and James for what is now 16th place. They've moved forward a little bit due to some other drivers falling off a little bit. But Robert Tarbach still right behind them as well. Tim Collier still in that battle as well. So this four-car battle has been going on since the start of the race, as we see James Hume going a little wide through turn 2, which is pretty easy to do, I'll admit.
Yeah, it is. And you know, I'm back on with Jarrett Lawson now. Jarrett Lawson had Paul Darling all over the rear end of his car just a little while ago, but he seems to have dropped him off now, and I'm a little surprised, Kevin, at Paul Darling. Normally he is a front runner, but obviously a number of factors, perhaps the track, perhaps the new build, he's not showing us what he can do here at the moment.
Yeah, I'll put it down to probably just not comfortable with the track. You know, this is a track I feel like you really have to be really comfortable at it to be good at it, because you just flinging the car in so deep into these chicanes, so late underbraking as Hume's going defensive. James tucks in on the inside. Tarbox goes wide, thinking about trying to pass both of them, and everybody stacks up but gets clean and allows Victor Tanaka to catch up a little bit. Victor Tanaka started in, where did he start? He started in 26th. And ran right up through the field. He was up about 11th, and then he just went and served his pit stop. He was the first car to stop, and it looks like Anthony James making the move into the last chicane as Tarbox goes flying past in through pit lane. One of the features of this track, that high-speed entry, and Anthony James once again cleanly passed James Hume into the last chicane, but this time Anthony James does not slow down across start-finish line and allow James Hume to go past. So it looks like this one is done and dusted, I think, for James and Hume.
Yeah, we said that before, and it turned around once again. We've got a McLaren, then we have, is that a BMW behind? James Hume in the BMW, Tim Collier in another McLaren, and Victor Tanaka in a roof. I don't know what's going to happen here, but Victor Tanaka has slowly but surely moved forward. So I'm guessing that he's going to want to be pretty aggressive. Is right on the rear end at the moment of Tim Collier, Kevin, so let's see if he can do something here.
Yeah, he should be able to. He's on fresher tires, or at least I assume he's on fresher tires. He did stop, didn't get
just made a pass.
Yeah, very well done. Looks like he might be able to get James Hume as well going into the hairpin. Much better exit out of that chicane. You can see Tanaka pulling side by side on driver's left and easily passed. I think Hume lifted. Yeah, Hume was early on the brakes to help facilitate that pass, and Hume almost gets into the side of Tim Collier as they slow down for the hairpin, but they kind of realign themselves back. Hume in front of Tim Collier.
Yep, and Victor Tanaka is now looking.
We have a little change for the lead. Leandro Schmidt just messed up, ran deep into the turn 6-7 chicane, and he got loose in the middle of the corner, and that allowed Humberto Roca by.
Just saw it on the replay. Great move there from Humberto Roca. Well, A little mistake there from Leandro, and that's cost him the first place. Not that he's out of it. He's not that far behind Umberto. But let's just run down the standings here. We haven't mentioned the fact that we are now on lap number 16. And in fact, we've seen, more than, coming up to the halfway point in this race. And guys should be thinking about their pit stops now. And leading the race now, leading the race, Umberto Roca. Leandro Schmidt now in second place. Miguel El Crudo has run a terrific race. He is about 14 seconds back in third place. George Manusakis in fourth place. And Jared Lawson has moved all the way up to fifth place, as we see a battle here with Jared and Robert Tarbox. Now, this is not actually a battle for position, but nonetheless, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, so well done to George Manusakis. He had a compatriot, a fan of his, pleading his case last time we saw George. That was at Bathurst, wasn't it, Richard? And saying that George was going to be very, very fast once he got a little more familiar with the cars. And definitely we're seeing that. He's running fourth in a tough field on a very difficult track. So, obviously George, though we're not particularly familiar with him, he's got some speed. And we have been seeing the starts of pit stops. Dualjan Boldrin has stopped. Paul Darling is in right now. Victor Tanaka has also stopped. Ricardo Mendez has stopped, as well as Robert Tarbox and Arthur Hermont and Troy Fagan.
Yep, a whole bunch of them starting to do their pit stops now, regulation pit stops. So things will get a little crazy in terms of position for the moment. But one position that we cannot dispute at this point is P1. Umberto Roca leading the race now, which is something that we're used to seeing, Kevin. Leandro Schmidt in second place there. And Leandro is no slouch at this track and in this car either. So it's going to be interesting to see how the battle develops after the pit stops. Because these guys surely must be thinking they're on lap number 18 now. About halfway through the race at this point, so they should be thinking about their pit stops at the moment.
Yeah, for sure, and I think Leandro Schmidt definitely is starting to get hurt. He is much slower on these older, well, I shouldn't say much, but he is slower on these older tires than Humberto Roca. Well, actually, maybe much is appropriate. He lost about a half a second just since start-finish. But Humberto Roca definitely seems to be a little more comfortable on these old tires than Leandro Schmidt is, and running well. We got to say, Humberto Roca. As you said, we are used to seeing him up front this season, and the races we saw him last season, he was continually up at the front, really kind of showing his tail feathers to everybody else. Humberto Roca looking very good, and when Leandro Schmidt, as we said, is not a slouch. Miguel Ocrudo, not a slouch either, and Humberto Roca really kind of done and dusting these guys very well here at a very difficult track.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a little update for everyone. I'm having a look at the drivers who have exited from the race, and it looks like Jason Lundy has called it a day. Peter Hebron, Kyle Heron, and Dougie Beard, 4 drivers no longer partaking in the race. James Hume in his pits at the moment. We followed James in a nice little battle for most of the race. He's in the pits at the moment.
Big wreck. Drew Lidke into the wall hard. And still standing there, backs up onto the track surface racing line. I can't see him. My camera's just changed.
There was a tree in the way. There was one car that managed to pass safely, I might add. That was Troy Fagan, got by, but that was a hard hit into the wall there, Kevin, and that is certainly going to give him some trouble. Maybe he waited just that extra lap too long to go into the pits.
Oh boy, he just brushed the high curb on the inside of the chicane, and that's just enough to knock you loose when you're carrying kind of maximum speed and on these worn tires. Yep. Just barely touched it. That was enough to cause that incident.
Well, we saw it all on the replay, and he got going again, and it could be that the damage is not as bad as we thought. Now we shall see him go into the pits and do his pit stop. If he had done that last lap, perhaps it would be in a better position. Now, Let's see. Kleber Gomez.
Let's go
in the
to
pits as well.
10th and 11th. Sorry, Richard. 10th and 11th. Victor Tanaka and Paul Darling only. There we go. Passing side by side through turn 1 and turn 2. Darling in the gold and white and red roof, and Tanaka in the blue and black roof. And looks like Darling might have that position. Tanaka not giving it. Nope. There. Tanaka does give it up now. That was a great move by Paul Darling for 10th.
Yep, but kudos to Paul Darling. They were side by side going around a very, very tough turn there, and he managed to not only not touch Victor Tanaka, but in fact managed to get the position. So good on you, Paul. Perhaps he's becoming a little bit more comfortable. Let's see what Victor Tanaka will do now.
Tanaka's going to run wide and cut the cord. Oh no, that is for sure a slowdown penalty.
Yeah, he was way out on the grass there, and then he braked really hard to try and avoid it and lost a lot of time. Coming out of the hairpin now onto the back straight there, he's easily 3 seconds back now.
So
now, George
easy
is
to
in
do
the
on
pits.
this track. Yep, so we got George Manusakis in the pits, so he was in 4th, I believe, correct, Richard?
Yes,
dropping down to 9th or 10th or so by now. Looking at Daniel Rice and Dualjean Boldrin, Daniel Rice in 7th, Dualjean in 8th. About a second apart. They were a little closer the last lap by, but just kind of wondering, Boldrin has stopped. He is on fresher tires. Daniel Rice has still yet to stop. So I would expect that Boldrin to be much faster. Just not seeing it quite this moment.
No, we're not seeing that happening at the moment. Let's go another place forward there to Tom Ratchie. Yeah, Tom Ratchie is kind of alone all by himself. The nearest to him is Daniel Rice. Tom sitting out there in currently in 5th position, probably hasn't stopped yet, but Tom Ratchie had a good race last time out, but that was in the endurance series, so he's just a workman-like performance from Tom Ratchie there. His partner and his teammate Jason Lundy, or one of his teammates, certainly out of the race at this stage. So he's carrying the flag for that Puffin racing team right now.
And there goes Boldrin. Better run out of the hairpin Boldrin to the outside into the final chicane. But Daniel Rice very late on braking. Boldrin getting a good setup through the chicane. Might be able to do it here on the inside of turn 1 on the power well. Daniel Rice, I think, might be a sitting duck. No, not quite yet. Rice running very strong into 1 and 2. Boldrin a little bit later on the brakes should be enough to make it happen into turn 2, and it is. And Daniel Rice, I don't think, is close enough to be able to fight back. It's very difficult to get on the power on the inside of that right-hander. It's off camber and very tight, very difficult to get on the power. Car really wants to get loose, and you can see Daniel Rice deep on the brakes into that chicane and just barely avoids hitting Dualjean Boldrin. But yeah, that position is well and truly Dualjean's now. And Leandro Schmidt into pit lane, guys.
Yes, that's what I want to say now. Victor Tanaka and George Manusakis. Let's see, we got information. There's a battle brewing here. George in the BMW, and of course Victor Tanaka in the roof. Let's see what George can do. George was way up ahead of Victor Tanaka, and that's not to say that Victor is slow here. Victor's a very, very fast driver, but he started from 26th position, so he was way back. Now, Kevin, this is roof versus BMW. I must say the BMWs this season have not been a force to be reckoned with against the roofs anyway.
Yeah, it looks like our roofs are a little faster this year, but that's kind of happens year to year. You know, sometimes teams are better set up for the schedule in a particular car one season than they are on another season. I'm not going to, attribute it to really much anything else. Dualjean Boldrin tagged the wall pretty hard coming out of the hairpin, but somehow I'm not seeing any damage. I mean, he smacked it pretty good, and somehow has managed to escape crumpling that car up. So a lucky break for him, I think.
Well, I think it's a little bit like Bathurst. where you can hit the walls, and it sounds terrible. I mean, you get the shock of your life when you hear that crunching sound as you hit the wall, but you get a 0x, which is iRacing's way of saying no damage occurred, and you continue on as normal, Kevin.
Yeah, it reminds me of that F1 race at one point. I can't remember who it was, but somebody got their car loose coming out of the Wall of Champions, and the end plate on the rear wing tore the banner on the Wall of Champions, but it didn't actually damage the car. It was one of those, that's as close as you can possibly get it, and I think that may be what Dualjon Voldrin effectively did.
Well,
and
yes.
boy, big power slide from Georgios Manosakis. He was very close to Victor Tanaka, got on the power aggressively, and lost a few tenths there. Good job saving the car and keeping it from wrecking.
Yeah, and both of these drivers are now coming up on, let's see, that is Troy Fagan, which will be a lap car. So this car will obviously have some say in what happens between George and Victor. So let's have a look there. So Victor comes up on the lap car now. Lap car gets a good push out of the hairpin there. Victor falls in behind. George trying to make up some time there. This battle has a little way to run. Let's see if we can find out. There goes George past the lap car of Troy Fagan. Troy falls into line. He is now coming through that last chicane. He's going to hold up George a little bit. Will George have enough to get by him before turn 1? They cross the line now. Yes, he actually must have braked there, Kevin, to give the position to George.
But I've been watching this battle between James Hume, Kleber Gomes, and Tim Collier for 16, 17, and 18. We have seen these three mix it up before in previous rounds, and this is a great visual feast. 3 different teams, 3 different cars. Loving the way it looks on screen right now. These guys are pretty close together fighting. Yeah, they're a little further back, but hey, action's everywhere. As we see Kleber Gomez looking to the outside of Hume into the hairpin. Is he going to try the over-under? Looks like he is, but he's on the grass on Apex. That makes it very difficult to get on the power, and sure enough, he is going to lose out. But that wasn't Anthony James. Somebody else was kind of looking in the mix.
Collier.
No, excuse me, it was Tom Ratchey that I was seeing sneaking up behind Tim Collier. So Tom Ratchey running in second right now since the other cars in front of him have stopped. This would be a good time, I think, for Ratchey to go in, and sure enough, he does.
Yep, he does indeed. This battle, however, continues. Now, the 3 cars here in this battle: Tim Collier, Kleber Gomez, I guess, and James Hume in front of them. So this 3, we've been watching battles all race long with these guys, and this is no different. Now, Tim Collier, we have to say, sitting way down there. Tim Collier in 17th position.
In 18th, actually.
He is. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Tim Collier's actually in 18th.
18th. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is that that's a little way down for him, because he is currently leading the amateur championship. As we see Humberto Roca now into the pits as well, Kevin.
And Leandro Schmidt nearly got into the back of Tim Collier under braking, and then just can't get on the power early enough to get around Collier. Leandro Schmidt getting held up badly by this battle. Leandro losing time, hand over fist to Humberto Roca, who's in pit lane, and Leandro Schmidt is caught behind this 3-way battle.
That's unfortunate, because of course Leandro Schmidt and Humberto Roca were the 2 leaders in this race from the very beginning. So Leandro, keep an eye on where Leandro is at the moment, as I watch Humberto Roca in pit lane getting fueled up now, waiting to see if his car is going to go up on the jacks to get some tires. There it goes. Yes, certainly he's going to be taking some tires. Not sure if it's going to be all 4. I hate the fact, Kevin, that they don't go up one side and then the other.
And wow, Leandro Schmidt pulling off 2 passes on the back straight into the final chicane to get around this battle. Humberto Roca just now joining the track. Leandro Schmidt in through turn 1 and turn 2. So it looks like Leandro Schmidt has lost about 2 seconds over the pit stop strategy to Humberto Roca.
Yeah, and I have to say, though, if you recall, he was about that, maybe even a little bit more.
No, he was much closer before when he went in. He was about a second and a half behind Humberto when Leandro stopped in for his pit stop.
Okay, righto. All right. Well, he's got a lot to make up for now. They both will be on fairly fresh tires. Well, Umberto's got completely fresh tires. Leandro's tires will have seen a few laps, so one would imagine that the advantage is all with Umberto right now.
Yeah, I think so. And the other thing that I was seeing was that Humberto Rocco was not much slower on
Humes?
old tires than Leandro Schmidt was on new tires. But we have a battle for 10th and 11th. Tom Racci, Eduardo Tometi. Nope, Tometi was looking to the inside for turns 3 and 4. Difficult place to pass, but I think he thought that maybe he could make it happen. Nope, not going to happen there, buddy.
Yeah, we just saw that.
Go ahead, Richard.
James Hume, I was just going to mention in passing that James Hume went off track and really had to brake hard and slowed the car down to nothing and came back on again. So he's all right. I'm with you there with Eduardo Tometi, and in front of him, Tom Racci, is it? Let's see. Yeah, it's Tom Racci in front of him. So there's a nice little battle going on here. And in front of them is Troy Fagan, so that's a lap car. So let's see what happens here. BMW against McLaren at this point in time. So, not too much happening. Tom Racci struggling to keep up there, and behind him comes Eduardo Tometi now trying to take the position. Is on the outside, going down towards the last chicane. Kevin, can he do it? I think he will. Tom Racci backs out. He backs out. It could have pushed the issue there, Kevin. But that's into that last chicane, which is pretty hairy, trying to go too wide through there.
Yeah, for sure it is. And that was all set up to Tom Racci struggling through the hairpin and Eduardo Tometi doing well. As Tometi struggles in turn 2, Tom Racci almost runs over him. This battle is not over. And Eduardo, I do want to apologize if it sounded like I was being demeaning to you last lap. No, I was not. Just kind of saying that it is a difficult place to pass. But Eduardo Tometi, yeah, that was a great run out of the hairpin. And yeah, like you, I thought Racci might force the issue into the chicane. Glad to see that Racci didn't, but now they have this lap car of Troy Fagan in front of them. Is he going to affect this battle?
Well, that's what I was thinking on the previous lap, but he managed to stay ahead of them. And just look how far back Tom Racci falls back, I should say, as they come now through that chicane. Once again, he just falls back. The straight sections, the BMW just does not have enough to keep up along these straight sections. Then now they're coming to the hairpin. You should see him close up. As we see, there was a touch there, Kevin, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking at the...
Yeah, definite touch there by Tometi on Fagan, I think.
Yeah, just barely contact, but enough to spin Fagan around, get that chrome horn, as they do say in the oval side of racing, but allows Tom Racci to close up. And Richard, I think Tom Racci may not have taken new tires last time or when he stopped in pit lane, so that might be why he's a little bit slower than Eduardo Tometi right now.
Okay, that would explain it. One would think as he closes up coming through turn 2. You know, Kevin, that is so confusing. That white line, which is of course the pit exit line, tends to confuse the driver. Certainly confuses me. I think that's the limit of the track, when in fact that isn't. I mean, you can go over that white line if you're just driving a normal lap.
Yeah, but it's not really part of the fast racing line, so no real reason to do that. We should point out, our spotter has pointed out that Jarrett Lawson and Paul Darling are in a nice little battle again. This time it's 5th and 6th. Remember, Jarrett Lawson started quite a ways back and has moved forward very handily as well, and he's got the normally very quick Paul Darling right behind them. So this is a nice little battle, evenly matched cars, just like it is up front in the lead, only a half second away from these guys. But man, Lawson was just unbelievable through the hairpin this time by, and really dropped Darling by a couple of tenths.
And we got a battle here just behind them, Tanaka and George Manusakis. This battle's been raging on this lap. Manusakis just got by Tanaka. Tanaka got by him again, and Manusakis chasing once again through the final hairpin there, going down. No, that's not the final. Yes, it is. I get so confused. Now they come over the line, through now to turn number 1. George Manusakis now closing up under brakes. on Tanaka with the BMW. Good battle going on here, as well as the Paul Darling-Lawson one.
And we should remind, George started in 5th. He had the 5th fastest qualifying time. Victor Tanaka started the race in 26th.
Yes.
And Tanaka is all the way up to 7th. Victor has been absolutely flying. What could he have done with even a marginally better qualifying effort? Could have been something special tonight from Victor.
Well, that's right. I mean, these guys are 37 seconds behind the lead. A lot of that 37 seconds for Victor would have been catching up and passing the slower traffic. So yeah, you're absolutely right. He could have been up there with the leaders, I'm pretty sure.
Well, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Another good battle on screen, or that we can put on screen, I should say, is Cleaver Gomes and Tim Collier, 16th and 17th. Gomes looking very racy, kind of struggling a little bit on the apexes. Keeps bouncing off the inside of the apex curves there and the final chicane. Tim Collier a little aggressive on power, can't capitalize as they cross the start-finish line. And they do have Anthony James lurking behind them, not too far behind. But Cleaver a little passive, or not very aggressive on the brakes through one, and I think it kind of really screwed up Tim Collier, surprised him a little bit, loses some ground there. Tim Collier does. Anthony James also catches up quite a bit.
Now, one thing is has got me a little bit confused here, Kevin. Dusan Baldwin is now up to 3rd place. Now, how on earth did he do that? He had fallen way back to the mid-pack not that long ago before the pit stops.
Yeah, I think he was just caught behind the people that hadn't stopped yet. So I think once everything had cycled out, worked out. But the other thing I should mention is his pit stop, we're being told, was only 17 and a half seconds. Most everybody else was about 32 seconds. So that says to me that Dualshan did not take tires, whereas everybody else is. So the risky strategy there, not taking tires, I'm not sure if that's the way it's going to happen, or the best way to happen, but that's the strategy that Boldrin's playing.
Well, and behind him is Miguel Alcrudo closing up visually every time and every lap. Now, we should remind viewers, we are on lap number 29. We have elapsed time of just over 50 minutes. So, remaining time is just over 12 minutes. So, not a lot of racing time left. The guys want to be thinking about strategies of passing now or driving hard. But this battle for the 3rd place is about to erupt, I feel, Kevin.
Yeah, it could be. Leandro Schmidt also has been pulling a couple of tenths on Humberto Roca each lap. Not sure if it's enough to make something happen, but it's close. Meanwhile, this Boldrin and Alcrudo battle looks like they are catching up on that battle between Cleaver Gomes, Tim Collier, and Anthony James. That's going to shake out in a lap or two. As we see Boldrin going a little defensive in the 3-4 chicane. That's kind of an interesting maneuver since it is so difficult to pass there.
Yeah, I think it was just struggling to keep the car on track there, Kevin, if you ask me. Miguel Alcrudo's car looks a lot more comfortable. Dujan is fighting that car. He's struggling at the moment, I think. And I don't think he's going to be able to hold out Miguel for that much longer unless he stays defensive virtually all the time. Bear in mind, there's only about 11 minutes left in this race. He's just got to fight hard as he can, Dujan, to stay in front of Miguel and be on the podium. So he has everything to fight for here.
And this is where Miguel Alcrudo is going to have to make something happen. They are catching quickly the lap car of Anthony James. So I think this lap they're going to start catching traffic, and then they're going to have that battle in front of them between Tim Collier and Cleaver Gomes. And as Gomes almost hits, he does hit Mike Reuter. They both run deep into the chicane. They are both going to have to serve that cut course penalty.
And here come Dujan Baldwin and Miguel Alcrudo. Miguel now got to run on Bulldog. Dujan goes defensive. You're quite right, but I don't think he's got enough. Alcrudo will have the inside. My goodness, look at that, Kevin. What was that? That was just like no brakes into turn 2 there.
Yeah, he just went too deep into turn 1, had to shut it down. And El Crudo much better under brakes right now than Dujan Boldrin. That has definitely got to be down to tires right now. I think Miguel El Crudo probably struggling with trying to figure out the best place to pass right now. I wonder how much the marbles off track are affecting him. He does not look comfortable to my eyes right now.
Yeah, Dujan Boldrin virtually just must have closed his eyes and put the car into turn one. As they're going past the lap traffic, this might affect El Crudo. Whoa! There's a bit of a touch there on El Crudo from Mike Ruder. Mike Ruder's already got significant damage on his car, but still safely through El Crudo. Going into the hairpin now, trying to get on terms. This is the best chance that El Crudo's got coming out of the hairpin, but look at the power going down there. Dujan Boldrin, this guy is fantastic in that car, Kevin.
Yeah, it looks like Dujan's going to go defensive into the chicane. That's his best bet. But look at that slippery roof, just pulling, using that draft, pulling alongside the Ford GT much later on the brakes. Is he going to be able to come in down to the chicane? Bounces off the curb bar, spins it around Miguel El Crudo.
He bounced off the curb there. That was unfortunate. He managed to catch the car. He'll get a cut course there, I think. No, might have been after the turn. I'm not sure what will happen in iRacing terms. But he's lost a lot of time, and I'm pretty sure Dujan Boldrin must be breathing a sigh of relief because Miguel El Crudo has now fallen behind Jarrett Lawson and Paul Darling as well. They've both passed him, Kevin. That was so sad to see because he was on a mission there to pass.
And we should say that Jarrett Lawson and Paul Darling were in a fight just as close as the El Crudo Boldrin fight, and our spotter caught that Darling and Lawson almost made contact, and that separated out. But Richard, even more of importance, our second place runner Leandro Schmidt has made contact with a wall somewhere, heavy damage to the rear of his car. He is now 16 seconds behind Humberto Roca and losing time rapidly.
Yeah, and he's got a very badly bent wing.
That was a big hit. I just saw it was on the exit of turn 4.
On the
we can get a
replay.
replay.
Yeah, we got it on the replay. That was a really hard hit there on the rear. So that is still going. He's still going. Let's have a quick look at the gap. 30. Oh, he's going into the pits. He's decided maybe he'll take his free car now.
Yeah, I think so. That was probably the only thing he could do. Meanwhile, the closest battle we have on track right now is still actually Cleveland Goins, Tim Collier, and Anthony James. But the Victor Tanaka, George Manusakis battle has not settled down either, as they are about half a second apart. Manusakis very poorly through the hairpin last time by.
Yeah, and Manusakis now coming up to the final chicane there, Wall of Champions. He can't get a better exit than does Victor Tanaka, so they are kind of staying in line now. Miguel El Crudo we spoke about, he lost significant time. There's a car on, that's Arthur Mom. I thought for a second that was Dujan Boldrin, but it wasn't. And Dujan Boldrin, Paul Darling, let's see, Paul Darling, who's in front of him? Leandro Schmidt. So Paul Darling has caught up to Leandro Schmidt coming out of the pits. Leandro now has a new car completely, so he should be in good shape, but he has fifth place. Paul Darling has caught up to him, so he's lost a few positions there.
And poor Dujan Boldrin is dealing with this battle of 13, 14, 15, and 16. Jay Friels, Kleber Gomes, Tim Collier, Anthony James. And I've added Jay Friels in because Kleber Gomes has been catching Jay Friels hand over fist these last few laps. It is now only a second and a half between the two.
And Dujan Boldrin gets into the back of, who was that? That was Tim Collier out of the hairpin there. That was not a nice thing to see, I'm pretty sure. And El Crudo, we're getting information, is also involved in a little accident there, so all happening at the
and that's Jarrett
final
Lawson.
stages.
They passed. Jarrett Lawson flips the car. Oh boy, big hit, and then hit by, is that Dujan? No, that was Arthur Hermont that hit them. I'm trying to figure out what happened to Jarrett Lawson because I didn't see that, Richard.
No,
at least what caused the big damage. Oh, he was hit in the back by Anthony James. Anthony James completely outbraked himself. Leandro Schmidt hit Anthony James, who hit Jarrett Lawson. Jarrett Lawson had big damage, was struggling to keep the car straight down the back straight, and then looped it into the wall. And boy, you saw the results of that one as Arthur Hermont hit him at about 140 miles an hour, T-boned him, and launched him into the air.
And here we get Kleber Gomez getting slammed by, I didn't see who that was that got into the back of him just seconds ago. We might get that on replay as well. That was a pretty hard hit from behind.
That hits him. Boy, it is all happening now.
Oh, there's a car up in the air. There's a car flying through the air there. We got to get... Oh, that's on the replay. Sorry.
Anthony James and Mike Rudo and Kyle Herron. Jarrett Lawson is in pit lane still. He's dealing with that toe. I'm not sure if he'll be able to come back out before the race is over.
Okay. Let's get on to the battle for third place right here. Miguel El Crudo, Leandro Schmidt. This is the battle for third place. The cars are extremely close to each other. They do have a slower car in front of them. Jay Friels it is, and another slower car. No, that's Dujon Baldwin in front of them. So they're not that far behind Dujon Baldwin. I'm talking about Leandro Schmidt and Miguel El Crudo. So let's see what they can do in the 2-3 minutes that is left in this race. I don't think they've got enough to catch Dujon Baldwin in second place, but there's certainly a battle for third place, Kevin.
Oh, and Miguel El Crudo very deep under braking for the hairpin. But don't forget, we think that Leandro Schmidt and Miguel El Crudo are on fresher tires. Dujon Baldwin, we don't think changed tires. So that may be enough to run him down in the about 2 laps that they're going to have left to run it. It's going to be very, very close, that's for sure.
And Paul Darling just quickly had a very, very hairy moment there, passing Jay Friels coming out of the hairpin. So he is in 5th place. So that's your top 5 for you. Miguel El Crudo in 4th place, fighting for 3rd. He's just a little too far away now. This might well be, there's about 2 minutes left. So I would imagine there will only be this lap completed, and then we will have the white flag lap, Kevin.
Yeah, I think you're right. But yeah, definitely this is on between 3 roofs, chasing down that Ford GT, and Leandro Schmidt is doing that. He's within a second of Dujon Baldwin. Remember, it was about 2 seconds about a lap ago. So Leandro Schmidt definitely much faster right now than Dujon Baldwin. Is it enough to get by him cleanly? We have not seen Leandro Schmidt have his cleanest race. He has spun twice out of turn 4. Leandro kind of struggled a little bit, but I'm sure he's on fresher tires. He needs to be able to maximize it. I think his opportunity is getting a good run out of the hairpin, this time by. Got to make it happen here, Leandro.
Right here, and we do know that, and he gets a good exit out there, but we know, I was about to say that Dujon Baldwin is exceptional in getting the power down out of the turns. Dujon Baldwin also very good in a defensive position, but yeah, I don't think it's going to matter. I think that Leandro is clean by before the chicane. Is that the case? Dujon has to give it up. They come through and they will be completing what I believe will be the second last lap. The white flag is out when they cross the line. This is now the last lap, Kevin.
Absolutely, it is the last lap. So well done for Leandro Schmidt to make it happen. His last chance. Now, can Miguel El Crudo and Paul Darling make anything happen? Miguel El Crudo is about a second and a third behind Dujon Baldwin. Paul Darling is about 0.8, 0.9 seconds behind. But I don't know. They may be too far away to make something happen on this last lap. But we've seen last lap, last quarter passes before in this series, Richard.
Yes, of course. And a very exciting finish here. We got the roofs gathering like a swarm of bees over the Ford GT3 there.
Richard, we need to go to our leader. Humberto Roca is braking for the final chicane right now.
He is indeed, and he goes through the final chicane, past the wall of champions, and heading down that short straightaway to the start-finish line, and he will finish the race once again in first place. Now back to the battle.
Yep, Paul Darling just kissed the chicane out of turn 8 and 9 a little bit, or just kissed the curb, I should say. Got a little bit loose. Miguel Acrudo very, very close to Dujan Boldrin. I don't think it's going to happen. Paul Darling went very deep on the brakes to make something happen with Miguel Acrudo. Not going to happen. I think they've all kind of shot their wad, so to speak, here in the final corners. I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I don't think so. And Boldrin doesn't have enough to catch Leandro Schmid. So Leandro Schmid in second place, coming through the last chicane. He'll be heading down the straightaway, and he will take the checkered flag in second position. Third position, Dujan Boldrin. Good finish from him. And in a fourth position, Miguel El Crudo, and then Paul Darling. What a good finish to this race, Kevin.
Boy, absolutely some crazy action in the final minutes of this race. Well done. Well, I think it is time for us to step away to break so Richard and I can catch our breath, and we'll come back with final results and interviews.
Yes, sir. Back soon. Welcome back to Champion Motorsports. Race number 3 here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve or Montreal. Kevin, what a race that was in the last 10 laps. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I was getting a little worried in the middle of the race that it was going to turn into a snoozer, a little bit like Bathurst, because it's such a similar track. But man, the action that we saw at the end of that race was fantastic. Some unfortunate contacts that we saw, which is always a shame. We'll leave that to the admins to sort out. But some great hard racing as well. So let's get to the race results, Richard.
Okay, well, our winner today was none other than Umberto Roca. I think it was you that said when we were off air that he has got this series on lockdown at the moment, and certainly seems that way. Leandro Schmidt, a good challenge early in second place, couldn't hold it with Umberto, and of course had a couple of incidents towards the back end of the race, but still brought it home in second place. A great race from him. Dujon Baldwin, unbelievable stuff from Dujon to bring that car home in third place. Miguel El Crudo, great racing from him, pushing hard throughout the race. A great finish in fourth place. Fifth place from Paul Darling. Sixth place, Victor Tanaka. How about that one, Kevin? From 26th to 6th place from Victor Tanaka. Go ahead.
In seventh is George Manasakis. Eighth, Eduardo Tomedi. We didn't get to see him much on screen, but he got the Pro-Am win. Congratulations to Eduardo. Tom Ratchie was in ninth. He was the last car on the lead lap. In 10th was Daniel Rice. Drew Lidkey, 11th. Tim Collier in 12th. Kleber Gones in 13th. Troy Fagan, 2 laps down in 14th. Jay Friels in 15th. Robert Tarbox Jr. in 16th, James Hume in 17th, Arthur Hermont after a pretty good run earlier in 18th, Anthony James in 19th, and in 20th was Jarrett Lawson after his attempt to land on the moon, Richard.
Which we will talk about a little bit later, hopefully in the interview. So behind them, 21st place, Ricardo Mendez, Mike Ruder, 22nd, Carl Heron in 23rd. Now, these are a lot of these drivers did not finish. Certainly, Carl Heron didn't finish in 27th laps down. Jay Dargett, 28 laps down in 24th position. Peter Hebron, 28 laps down in 25th position. Douglas Beard, 32 laps down in that is 26th position. And 27th position, last position, most unfortunate for Jason Lundy, had a miserable race today. That's the standings. So now, Kevin, let's get to the fun part and let's start talking to these guys about what happened. So in the interview room, I see there that we have Umberto, we've got Jarrett Lawson and Victor Tanaka. Let's bring, what happened to Jarrett Lawson? Okay, we've got Umberto in there. Let's start with Umberto. Kevin?
Humberto, congratulations on the win. It looked like Leandro Schmidt might have had your number early in the race. We saw you kind of poking your nose early on him. How difficult was the track conditions out there offline? Did you think that you could make a pass early in the race?
Hey guys, it was interesting. I was not expecting Leandro to be that fast because in the qualifiers and in the practice I was a little bit faster than him. But as the race went on and after a few laps, I started to get uncomfortable, not being able to like follow him close, and I was just not being aggressive. I was being a little bit more cautious, trying to get the incidents to zero and try to put some pressure behind him.
Well, it definitely looked like you succeeded on that because we saw, excuse me, not Humberto, you're Humberto. We saw Leandro spin it out of turn 4 and just give you the position, and then after everybody sort of stops, Leandro spun it again in turn 4 and hit the wall pretty hard, had to come in, and then by miracle luck he came in second overall. But so what I really wanted to know was how was the grip offline? How was that? How was the dynamic track working out? Because I just haven't gotten to experience it yet.
Well, I have to be honest, and I have to say that I didn't find too much of a difference because I practiced 3 days before this with almost the same weather, and I did not find anything like totally different. Like for example, I was hoping that maybe the marbles, because I was trying to pass, if you saw Leandro a few times, and I braked in those parts, and I thought it was gonna be a little bit more less grippy, but it didn't feel that different. But one thing I did notice is how the track went. I mean, as we went to the end, it got better and better. Even though our tires went worse, the track felt like it was better than the beginning.
And
Yeah,
how did
if I can just let me jump in there. That's something to do with the amount of rubber being put down, I would guess, Kevin.
Oh yeah, for sure. But the other question I wanted to ask you, Humberto, was how did your roof feel with that extra downforce out there today?
It felt like it's not like a better feeling. Like it felt like a lot better. It turns better. It corners better. It brakes better. But then it feels like it's lacking grip in mid-turn. Always. I mean, I'm sliding and sliding, and I've been trying to work on the. Well, we only had like 2 hours to practice, but I've been trying to work on the mid-corner speed, and I've been not being able to like correct that. It just feels a little bit odd, but thankfully, I was able to manage the car and drive safe and win.
Yeah, he certainly did win, and yeah, that was a great race to watch for the first 2/3 of the race. That battle that you had with Leandro was absolutely captivating.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the win tonight, Humberto.
Thank you guys, and yeah, I want to congratulate Leandro because man, it was tough. Man, I was sweating a lot. It's been a while since I don't feel that uncomfortable with someone in front of me and behind me. So yeah, it was awesome, and congratulations to Dual John and to my teammates and to everyone and you guys.
All right, thanks again, Humberto, and again, congratulations.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for talking to us, Humberto. Now, I want to bring in Jared Lawson. And I want to ask you straight up, Jared, how did it feel to go low flying without a parachute?
Man, that was crazy. I'm not going to lie. Like, so many emotions going through my head at that moment.
I gotta tell you, I've got a picture of your car here. I'm gonna post that somewhere. I'm not sure where yet, but I certainly your car. All I can see on the other side of your car is blue skies and a little patch of trees. So, that was the funniest thing. Like, I mean, you got some damage from contact from a car in front of you. And then you were just recovering from that and coming out of the hairpin, going down the straightaway, and somebody came behind you and hit you, and that got you loose, and then somebody else came from behind and hit you once again, and you went flying. That must have been the most incredible. We didn't know how to call that. It was just one incident after another on you.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's funny how it started because it was like a little chain of events that all culminated in that. It was like I was behind to pass Anthony James. I missed my brake marker by like a mile, and I'm just thinking, okay, I missed my brake marker. Just take it wide, I'll be fine. Next thing I know, I'm turning back in to get back on track and get smashed from behind, and I'm just like, what the heck just happened? Like, I'm all the way off track. Like, there's no way somebody should have hit me out here. And frustrated, I get on the gas. I'm trying to stay out of everybody's way, but trying to get to the pits quickly. And then, as I get faster, it was totally my fault at this point. I should have slowed down and, made my way carefully back to the pits. But unfortunately, emotions got the better of me, and I was just like, I gotta get there fast. And I pretty much, like, the car started inching to the right, and then I caught a little bit of grass, and that's when the spin happened. And then you all know the rest of that.
Well, you know what? We got to be thankful that we are in the virtual world of racing and not in real life when these things happen. But other than that, how was the race? I mean, the new build, the dynamic weather. How did that feel for you? We just got some information there from from Umberto Roca, and he felt that he was a little uncomfortable today. How was it for you?
Yeah, I can understand that. Like practice, my car was amazing. Like it was doing everything I wanted it to do. It's putting down quick lap times. I was 7/10 off of Humberto, which that's great in my opinion. So I was doing good, and then qualifying came, and it like the track did a 180. All my teammates, Robert and Victor, were complaining about understeer. Like it and myself too. Like the car would not grip during qualifying, and then as the race started, it kind of persisted, which it got better as the race went on. Which is my guess is from just the track rubbering in. But yeah, it was definitely interesting. I'll tell you that. It's going to make racing really a lot more difficult because a setup you come into a session with might not be the greatest toward the end or the middle,
Well,
or heck, even the beginning.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, this is consistent with what Umberto told us as well. So it's going to be interesting now. We're asking all these questions because, the build is so new. I haven't even had a drive yet of any significance. So, look, Jared, thanks for giving us all that info. An unfortunate 20th place for you, not where you want to be at this stage, but we are only in round number 3 at the moment, so hopefully things will get better for you. But hey, thank you for talking to us, and thank you for that spectacular incident that gave us all an immense laugh here.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'm gonna try to do better next time. It's been a while because I haven't actually driven since last season, so I'm slowly coming back up to speed. So hopefully I'll be back at the top next time too.
All right. Well, thanks again, buddy. Now, one more. We've got Victor Tanaka there. Kevin, let's bring Victor in and have a chat with him.
Victor, 27 drivers started this race. You started in 26th, and you finished in 6th, only 10 seconds behind second place. That was a heck of a run.
Yep, that was weird, wasn't it? It was awesome too.
Well, yeah, you must have had a lot of passing on track because you moved forward quite well. We're, I think, about mid-pack when you went and served your stop, and you were the first person to stop and serve the regulation pit stop, came back right again at the back of the field, and then motored right on through the field. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I actually didn't take tires because I knew that was my only chance of actually getting a result today. And and I came in so early because I got a 1x in the beginning, 4x in the beginning of the race. I think somebody spun out at the last chicane, and I bumped the car from behind, and I thought I had damage, so that's one of the reasons why I stopped so early to get that fixed. But I actually didn't. But yeah.
Well, we were wondering about what your performance would have been like if you had qualified a little better. The next race is an endurance round at Monza and then a sprint race at Brands Hatch. Are you going to be able to qualify better for those races?
So, funny thing is, I was at work and I was texting Jared to make sure that I could make in time for the race. I sit on my desk with 2 minutes of qualifying left. That's why I didn't qualify. And I actually didn't even practice. I just jumped in, found the setup from last season, and just went racing. Pretty much what happened.
Well, shoot, that's an even better result, all things concerned. Then, congratulations on that one, Victor.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. Yeah. I'll try to get off work earlier, max race, and actually qualify.
Yeah, let's get you up front. All right. Thanks again, Victor.
Yeah. Thanks for everything, guys. Thanks for the broadcast. Awesome.
Thank you, Victor. Well, Kevin, that seems to me like that's the end of this race, and we will look forward to the next one, which I think you said was at Monza. Well, I'll just, just some thoughts from you on technical thoughts on what the guys said about this new build that you took in from their conversation.
Well, it sounds to me like an hour's race with 25 cars is not enough to really heavily affect the action off the line. It sounds like it's enough to affect the racing on the line, allows the grip to increase a little bit more. So I definitely think that the endurance race that we'll have in 3 weeks from Monza will give more chance for the marbles to build off and really affect the racing offline. But I think the bigger story for me actually is the recovery this series had after what was the flogging the dead horse snooze fest that we had at Bathurst. What a great and exciting race we had tonight.
Yeah, indeed. That is it made up for the other one at Bathurst there, which was an endurance race though, and this being a sprint race, we would expect people to do things to happen in quicker time than in the endurance racing. But look, we've come to the end of it. This was a great race. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But unfortunately, we have to do some thanks now and then close our broadcast. So, having said that, we would like to thank the organizers of the series for all the hard work they put in managing this and, of course, their other series as well. We thank our hardware and software providers, that is iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, Behringer and Ava Media. We certainly use all of those bits and pieces in our broadcasts. Thanks also to the broadcast team today, Kevin, our director Joe Peak, also spotter Amjad Yaman for helping out, and Dougie Beard for the camera set that we use. If you would like to find out more about us GSRC, our website is www.globalsimracingchannel.com. Go there and you will see our broadcast schedule, and you can catch up with any races that you may have missed because we have all the archived races and some race highlights as well. We are on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. We're on Twitter, where our handle is @GSR Channel. We would also like to thank, special thanks indeed, to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide us with some really good music. You will find their music not only here on our broadcast, but in TV commercials as well, movie trailers, and they have albums on iTunes and Spotify as well. If you like Eric's music, do have a look at his website. It is http://ericekholm.com. And Casey Lalonde can be contacted at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. So that's it for us today. Hopefully you had a good look at our upcoming broadcasts, which you will see on screen during any of our breaks and before the broadcast starts. Plenty of good stuff coming up in the future, guys. So finally, as we always say at the end of each broadcast, drive hard but drive clean, and we will see you on track.